Hi, this is Laurie Owen here with my friend Nancy Olsen. Nancy and I met at an attraction marketing intensive course with Diane Hockman. And we were talking one day about partnering and the advantages of partnering and how it seemed as though so many of the successful people online are in partnerships. And we came up with the idea of, wouldn't it be good to interview some of these people just to get an idea of what is involved, what are the advantages, and is partnering truly a factor in their success? So we started out. We decided to start with Bert Bledsoe and Patricia Sweeney-Moore. Bert and Patricia have gone from being relatively unknown on the internet to being, I would say, minor celebrities at least in the network marketing world, and in a very short time. So their success is really obvious and really phenomenal. And I have to tell you, this interview has been incredible, and I can hardly wait to share it with you. So let's just dive right in. Hi, I'm Laurie Owen. I'm here with Bert Bledsoe and Patricia Sweeney-Moore and Nancy Olsen. And we're talking today about partnerships. Nancy and I are considering becoming a partner, and we thought it would be fun to talk to people who are already established partners in the marketing world. So we're starting with Bert and Patricia. Can you tell us a little bit about how you decided, or how it came about that you became partners? I like the eating. That's cool.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, well, that's fine. We'll let him snack. And so yeah, Bert and I were actually really lucky. We were in MLSP together, where we both have MLSP accounts, and so we both had actually in February of 2013 had individually, we didn't know each other at the time, had decided to participate in a business builder challenge because apparently we were both in the same mindset with our business at that time, and we were ready to both take our businesses seriously. And we were lucky enough that when it was time, I think like in week 4 or 5, we had to partner up to get certain tasks accomplished, and we didn't even choose. I think the way that the leaders who were actually managing the challenge, they partnered people up who had a similar amount of results or points trackers. We had to keep track of what we were doing, and we got points for certain things and this and that. So for those of us that had a high number of points, they partnered us with people who had that same level of points, because it indicated we were also having the same level of activity, which was good, because that made us really, I think, the most ideal partner for the other person. And so we were just fortunate, that it worked out that way. So Bert's story is more exciting than mine. You can let him tell it now. But that's how we first met, anyway.
So you're sort of like an old-fashioned wedding or marriage. What did they call them in the old days when the marriages were arranged? There were people who did that for you?
Yeah, it was an arranged partnership.
It was an arranged partnership.
Yep.
Bert.
It was. See, when I tell the story, to me it was just random, because I didn't know that they put us with people that were doing the points like us. So I just thought it was, there's a little moth in here. I thought it was just totally random. So I thought that it still was pretty random. I mean, the amount of people that were doing the challenge, and then
300 people, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, and then to be partnered with someone that was doing the same or within a certain amount of point range that you were. And I'm guessing based off of our success in the challenge that we at that point were near the upper end of the point production.
Yeah.
Because that's that was how they were tracking our success, and that's still to this day, that's how Patricia and I, to some to pretty much, if you take it down to a base core, that's how we still track our success and how we teach our team to track their progress in their business. So
you're using the My Lead System Pro tracking
Not exactly, but yeah, I mean, every team and every company has their own, system. And so we've taken, what we did was we took the best of, and what we continue to try to do is take the best of what we learn and apply it.
Right.
That's it. So it's our own, it's our own system, but we use a system for the company that we belong to. Like we use My Lead System Pro to generate leads and to cultivate relationships and to generate profits, from multiple profit centers. But then we have another online business and offline that we work together with. So that company itself specifically has a system, an online point tracking system to do exactly what we did in My Lead System Pro. So we took what we did marking onto paper and have taken it online. Great. So we're able to do all those points tracking activities virtually as well as physically. So
you were paired together, and at what point did you decide to continue? And what is it about each other that and how you work together that has given you the incentive to continue?
Well, let me write that down because that's a multiple question.
It is. Okay.
When it's a multiple question, those are complex for me, Laurie.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right. So while he's writing it down, let me think.
Will you repeat the question? Is that okay?
Oh gosh.
I'm sorry.
I hope I can. At what point did you decide to continue, and what made you decide to continue? I mean, obviously, this was something that you were thrown together in a particular experience, but then you've continued.
It's pretty easy. It works. It works. I mean, it's. I think at the end of the day, when we're here to do business, when we're here to create a new lifestyle for ourselves and for our families, us being on the same path and going in the same direction with our business, and then having the same type of goals. I guess the cool thing, it does kind of go back to that points tracker because we were at the same level of activity. I think that's really important when you are deciding whether you're going to work for a partner or work with a partner. If one person is only putting in 5 hours a week and the other person's putting in like 30, that's very one-sided. So the both of us are able to put in full-time hours on this. And so if we cumulatively decided to do a project and it required an all-night, okay, we've got literally 12 hours of work that has to get done in the next 24 hours, we could both commit to that and make it happen. So I think our personal levels of commitment to our individual and then each other's success really meshed well, and they were very congruent. And so when you take that and then you take, I think, our personality types, obviously we work well together. I mean, we were randomly partnered in the business challenge, but during the course of that and working with one another over the course of, was it 14 weeks, Bert, I think? We became friends. And so, I am, I know that, he's met my husband now, and, he sees my kids, and, I've met his fiance, and, in that friendship, it works, I respect him and his goals and his family goals enough to do my part, and then he does the same. And in that sense, it works. Do you know what I mean? So we're really good. I mean, like, in other words, my strengths complement his weaknesses and vice versa. And so because of that, the two of us together are just highly effective. When we decide to do something, the results are pretty phenomenal so far. And I anticipate them continuing to be so because between the both of us, I think we're just getting better because we both push each other, So I think for me, that was why we decided to continue, and I think that's why it works.
So say more, either of you or both of you, about this pushing of each other and
And it sounds like you've developed a real commitment to each other's path and to each other's goals and your core values. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Bert, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, let me just go back and say I don't really remember when I don't even really remember when we decided to continue. I think we decided just to do some more of the like projects together and in MLS, like in the challenge. I think probably the real story is I was like, wow, this Patricia lady knows some stuff. I should try to talk to her more and see if she'll tell me what she knows. I just knew a couple things about some video things, right? Patricia this is the deal. I was and it's not like we're both not normal people. Patricia's just a normal lady, in addition to being normal, she also has business experience in the brick and mortar world. Her and her husband manage, own a brick and mortar business, and she had been doing things online. So in that sense, she knew things that I didn't know. So coming into the relationship, right, like coming into the partnership, she already was a leader. In my mind, she was already like a couple steps ahead of me in the stairwell. Like she had already been on the stairs, and I was like, oh, she's already like running up the stairs. So I was like, hey, what's up here? So I was trying to catch up because she had already had experience. So that being said, that's probably why originally that was probably my original motive to continue working with Patricia. You know what I mean? Because the very first assignment that we did together, we literally mastermind right away when we got like paired up. They were like, okay, you guys work together, and they sent our info. So we're like, oh, okay, let's do this. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna build a spaceship. We're going to the moon. We're like, yeah, okay, we're doing all of it. We're gonna do it. And then an hour before the webinar for that week's challenge is happening, Patricia's like, okay, here's my blog. And I type, I don't even blog. I was like, it took me like all day to type up 4 paragraphs, right? I was like, here's my thing. So
we were totally last minute. It was bad.
Yeah. So anyways, like it wasn't like we had like made this huge, massive connection on this first one assignment. You know what I mean? Like that decision didn't come probably until later down the road, and there's like whole entire parts of our like development as a team that we have never told anyone, like that won't probably be told for long, you know what I mean? That won't come out until like maybe when we're on stage somewhere telling about like, oh, well, remember when we had this idea? Or remember when we thought this was a good idea? And like for a week and a half, we're like, yeah, we're going to do this. And then we're like, what did we just do for a week? That was like a waste of time. It's been a fun growth, and that's that part right there, that like getting that shiny object syndrome, that is what was huge key in having someone to work with, because you stayed focused. And that is directly related to your question on why it's so important to push each other. Because when Patricia and I said on Monday we're going to do A, B, and C, on Wednesday when I call Patricia and she's like, oh no, I'm doing Q, T, and W. I was like, whoa. I thought 3 days ago we said we're doing A, B, C. Right? Wow. And same thing. We were then accountable to each other.
Gotcha.
Right? Like that was huge, because check this out. Both of us, and I think I can say this honestly, both of us like shiny things, right? Yes. Like we'll see something and we're like, oh,
I know.
That is going to be amazing. I want to use that, right? But and we all know what comes after buts. Okay? Exactly. We do not require this tool over here and this little whistle over here and this thing and that thing. All we really required was the accountability, because we already both had what it took. See, what this is what I wrote down when Patricia was talking. This is like I had a poof moment right now. Is the reason that it works, like how Patricia was saying, like it works. Like, check this out. She knows my fiance. She knows like what our goals are and what we want to do, and she knows what kind of work she's willing to do. So it works for her. I know Patricia. I know BJ. I know the kids. I haven't got to meet them physically, but I got to see them. I virtually know them, right? Because I get to see them on the camera all the time. I'm like, hey, here they are. And so I know what their goals are, and I know what work is required of me, and I know what I'm capable of, and I'm like, okay, that part works. But this is what's really powerful and why it really works, is because of the fact, and I never put this together, because I didn't know this part until Patricia bombed it on me. I thought it was like totally random. Because we were at a point where we were doing this in our points, right? Patricia was here, I was here, right? We were like virtually at the same, doing the same types of points each week. We were in the same place. Now, I didn't know it, because when I came into the partnership, I thought Patricia was like a couple steps ahead of me. Now, I don't know where Patricia was mentally when she comes in now, because in my head, she was a couple of steps ahead of me. Whenever you hear my version of the story, you always hear about, like, Patricia knew all this stuff, and I was like, hey, what am I doing? But when Patricia tells the story, it's the opposite story, okay? So, that being said, we were in the same place. Now, this is the awesome part. I know, and I'm not saying this to be arrogant, I'm saying this because this is a reality, that I'm a leader, okay? Yes. Patricia is a leader. So imagine this. Imagine if you had two leaders working together that, like, neither one was vying for, like, hey, I'm leading you, or you're leading me. Each one was bringing equal value. So instead of trying to compete, you're trying to, like, push each other up. Instead of trying to, like, grab the guy up above you and rip him down to get up the ladder, it was like, hey, dude, we don't even have to get a ladder. We could build a stairwell. Right? Like, we could build something that we could use and people will be able to follow us. Right. Yeah. That's what I don't know why that, but when Patricia was talking about, like, why did we continue and everything, that's like literally that's what I just wrote down. So I don't know if I answered the question properly, but Nancy will tell us later. She's taking notes.
Well, no, I understand. I understand what you're saying, because it's not like you're coming from I'm half of it and you're half of it. It's like you're coming from we're both a complete entity. We're both leaders. We both have skills. They may not be the same. In fact, in a lot of cases they aren't, so that's great. But we're going to support and make this bigger entity without taking away anything from the other or positioning each other in a different way other than side by side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got too from both of you, is there's really a sense of you doing this side by side.
Yeah, well, because now I think of Patricia as, like, because so this is what I think in my head, because I'm the oldest of my siblings. I have 4 sisters, right? So I think of now, like, Patricia's like, she's like my sister. Like, we're like this, you know what I mean? Like, we're like the same. Like, when I think of me and my sister, I don't think like, well, my parents love me so much more. I'm so much better than my sisters, right? I never think that. I just think like it's me and my sisters, right? Like that's so I just think of it now. It's like me and Patricia. Now, of course, we have different skill sets, right? She's good at some things that I'm not, and vice versa. But then there's a lot of things that that we, like some parts of our personality and some things that we are good at that we're both good at, or that are, you know what I mean? That some things are like the opposites, and then some things are that, so those are complementary, and then some things are we both are good at it, and so that just makes us have even more strength in that area.
So, how important do you think it is to have, of all this whole marketing world requires a lot of skills. I think it requires, technical skills and persuasion skills, and how important is it, do you think, to have a partnership in which all of as many as possible of the necessary skills are covered by the two of you? Does that
I think that there's less of that. I think less of that is required than tenacity. I think that people confuse what's necessary to be successful in this space. I don't see anything I do as persuasion either. I think it's more about getting out of yourself, out of your head, honestly. Like, because we overthink things. Like, I know I did for a while. And Bert can tell this great quote that I like to paraphrase for him later. He knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think that it's if you just share like what you're doing, your vision, your goals, and if you have one, that's so critical. My vision for why I'm doing this and what our life is going to look like, where we're going to vacation, it's tangible to me, and that is key. You don't have to know what HTML code is. You don't have to know how to make the best fan page, head cover, whatever. Because this is a people business in the long run. People are going to join you in your MLM. They're going to join you in MLSP. They're going to buy products you recommend, whatever. You don't have to know how to do all that stuff. You just have to infuse them with the ability to dream their own dream. And if your vision is powerful enough, they don't have to buy into your vision. But when your vision is powerful enough, it will inspire them to craft their own along the way. And so I think that that's the difference between someone who is going to be successful and not, along with the consistency of sustained effort.
And that's where the two of you are really. I mean, I love the story earlier about how many times you started out thinking you were doing A, B, and C, and the other person ended up doing Q, R, and X, and having that other person there to rein you back in. How has that been important for you also? It sounds like it's been really important for Bert. Is it?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think knowing that my part was required, like my to-do list had to get done in order for him to reach his business goals, and for, in business goals, I mean, obviously that's a financial goal, it's a life goal, it's a crafting his vision for him to reach that. I had to do my part. So it was less about feeling guilty about, I didn't get my stuff done, you know what I mean? Or having a feeling of resentment because, oh my gosh, Bert's going to yell at me because I didn't do my stuff, it wasn't like that. It was just, I said I was going to do it. And I know that my part is required for his success and my own. And it's funny because his success, and not just Bert, but anybody that I make a commitment to, if I say I'm going to help you do something, it's just that I was lucky enough to have a partner that, during the process, the beginning parts where it's hard to keep going, I had someone that I was accountable to. Like, in other words, if you don't have someone that you're answering to in that fashion, whether it's a fan on your fan page that you said you were going to get a training back to, or if it was someone on your list who asked you a question about the best way to move forward in their business, and you're supposed to be answering that question for them, once you build your business to a level where you're accountable to someone else in that fashion, that's what really propels you to the next level. And I think what's really important is that we had that at the beginning, and most people don't. And I think that was critical, because guess what? You do a lot of stuff every day for a while.
Yeah.
And you don't have a tangible result. But it is in the doing of those things that the results come. And so definitely there was times I would have quit. I would have walked away probably in like 2 months in, 3 months in. It's hard. I mean, it's just hard to be consistent. I mean, it's nothing that I'm doing is difficult to do per se. It's just the consistency of having to do it daily. That's difficult to just stay consistent with it. That was all. Because life happens, and you want to make excuses or take a rainy day off or take a week off, and you can't do that if you're building this bigger thing. Yeah. So in that way, I don't remember your question. I'm sorry. But that's
you're
that's
answering it.
Important. If that answers.
It's good. It's good.
Okay,
it's all good. So how do you decide? How do you have specific things that the two of you do every day, and then do you add on special tasks, or how do you decide on your task lists, and how do you divide them up?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The answer is it's always changing. Really, that's the real answer. The real answer is there is no answer. But if you want a defined answer, the answer is this. We do what we enjoy.
Oh.
And before we do what we enjoy, we do what's required. And that's the bottom line. It doesn't really matter if you like to make videos. I should not talk so loud. It doesn't matter if you like to make videos, and it doesn't matter if you like to blog. It doesn't matter if you like Facebook, or if you like Twitter, or if you like LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. What matters is what's required to get the desired result that you wish. And that's all that matters. Now, if you can go into business and do that, then you can be successful. And we are successful because we're able to adapt. So that being said, Laurie, every single day, what we do, every single day, we make a piece of content, whether it's a video, a blog, because every single day, okay? And Monday through Friday, we make every day, Patricia and I, we have a video every day, Monday through Friday. Right? Because we host a team training for our team every single day, and we do it as a webinar. Okay? So that, and we connect with people every single day. And that number of how many changes. As you get better at talking to people, that number should start increasing. Right? And as you get better, if you work online at doing online marketing, you're going to be able to expand your reach. So those are two things that we do every day, right? The reason I say it changes is because as your business grows, so does your level of responsibility. And as your responsibilities increase, your tasks and the things that are required of you as a leader and as a business owner and a developer of your business have to change. They have to adapt. And so we went from doing things that we used to do daily to now doing what we consider, we do like batch work now. And Patricia can kind of talk a little bit more about, like, if you guys want to, like, I don't know that you really want to get into the specifics of what that is, but it's basically, you know, doing it a different way than doing, 17 things every single day.
So I think, well, your question, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay.
your question probably, as it relates to partnerships, was I assume to a certain extent is to try to determine how you delegate or how you know what I mean, responsibilities. But no, I mean that's perfect work. I mean, like,
Yeah.
really, I mean, obviously what he said is the way that it is. It changes, and we struggle with that a lot when we first got started because, you know, when we were learning, we were new, of course, and we were trying to figure out, okay, well, what is required for me in my business each day? You know, what is it that I have to do in my business, let alone what is it do we have to do to reach our mutual goals? And then, of course, like he said earlier, you know, we definitely got up on tangents. You know, like, oh, let's go do this thing. This would be awesome. You know, and then, oh, wait a minute, let's go do this thing. This is even better. And so, you know, when we stopped doing that, we realized, you know, the success really started coming in. But we try to help each other with our individual tasks that we have to do, you know, because if you're going to be online, you have to create content. You know, if you're going to use Facebook as a Facebook strategy, you have to post to your fan page. You have to make Facebook connections. So the both of us do that. Now, I think when we discuss our goals, so like obviously we're in the same MLM together, we're in Evolv, and so because that was a decision we made together to really pursue that in a team way, that him and I really work together, what happens with that is, you know, the people that we connect with. If I connect with someone that I feel like, oh my gosh, Bert, you know, you've got so much in common with this person, you should definitely reach out to them. I think they'd be a great fit for working with you. Whether that means that MLM, you know, our MLM's going to work, or maybe it's MLSP, or maybe they're just going to have a great conversation. I don't know. But either way, like, because we were partners, there's no, like, I'm not competing with him over people. That you really have to take that. You have to take your ego and take it out of the equation. And we're just people, so sometimes that's difficult because we all want to dance on stage and have the limelight and everything. But at the end of the day, as long as we're focused on the end goal, that's really all that's important. I think that people want to know the mechanics of everything that people do. Like, you look at a leader and say, well, what do you do every day when you get up? You know, like, that was something I wanted to know that about everybody. Like, what do you do every day? And what I've come to realize is it's totally different every day. We have certain things, like he said, that are required. There are certain small, silly things, like posting on your fan page and making 10 new friends. And that was a really big deal when I started. But now it's just like, oh, okay, we'll have to go do this now. No big deal. But in the grand scheme of things, we always have projects going on. Always. Because we have larger goals, you know, in our business that we're working to attain. So, like, him and I have a specific sales funnel that we're implementing starting on Tuesday. And so because we have that project, within that project, him and I have very specific tasks that are delegated to our strengths. And
okay, so by now, you understand each other's strengths well enough that the delegation just happens organically? Is that pretty much how it is?
Yeah. And then if something doesn't get done, right, this is the deal. If something doesn't, okay, if it's a project, it usually always gets completed. If it's some kind of like just a random item, right, that we just are like, hey, Patricia, go do this. And hey, Patricia, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And she's like, okay, I need you to do 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, oh, okay. Let's say that she goes and does all of X, Y, Z, and I just do 1 and 2. I never do 3. Let's say like 2 weeks go by, and Patricia's like, hey, dude, where's 3? At that point, usually one of us, the one that's asking for the whatever it is, like, hey, where's that thing? At that point, we will most likely have identified this is a challenge for the other person. And then we will usually just say, hey, would you like me to do this item? And this is the deal. Now we're not like, now we've worked with each other for a long enough time, and we're open, like, in our communication, so that it's not like we're not like embarrassed or there's no ego or whatever. Like, when Patricia tells me to do like an outline, it's literally like I feel like she's punching me in the face, right? She'll tell me this is, and she still says it to me. She's like, you know what? You should just write up a quick outline.
You go, yeah, whatever.
Like, yeah, quick outline to me sounds like 4 hours worth of work, and I got like 5 things written on a sheet of paper. I'm like, oh man, that's rough, right? So that being said, like, you know, it's not a quick outline for me. So usually now, like that was like obviously I was saying that in jest. She doesn't assign me. She doesn't make me make outlines for things unless it's my project. Right. If it's my idea, and she's like, "Oh, that's your idea. That's a good idea," then she'll just say something like, "You should write that all down." Right? It's like a different phrasing, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's good. I should get this all down on paper, or I should type this all up," right? And then like shoot it off to me, or she'll ask it like in an email, like email this to me, right? Like, and so once you get to that kind of communication, it's not really about assigning tasks, because this is the deal. I'm gonna build a business. Like, with or without Patricia. Whether, like, tomorrow, if Patricia's just like, hey, I'm out 100%, that's cool. Like, that'll be sad. I'll be bummed because I like Patricia. We've made a friendship and everything. But check this out. I have that kind of passion for my business, and I know she has the exact same passion. Therefore, it's never like, oh man, I hope if I tell Patricia if she's going to do these 3 things, if I'm going to do these ones, right? Like, it's never like the reason that question gets asked is because people want to know, well, how is it getting divided up, and how is it getting, like, how is it going to be fair? It's not.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
Welcome to life. It's as fair as the rest of life is. That's it, right? Check this out. There's some weeks where Patricia's like, really? Probably like, I'm working all the control, right? And then there's weeks where it's like that for me, though. There's weeks where I'm literally like, I can't get off the phone. I'm like, right? But that's the line of work I'm in. I talk to a lot of people. So it's not fair. It's like this. It's like a roller coaster, right? Sometimes it's your time to give, and sometimes it's your time to support, right? Sometimes it's your time to paint the house, and sometimes it's your time to wash the windows. Like, you chip in when you can, where you can. That's what works about it. Yeah,
I think, and being flexible is key. I mean, I think in any kind of team atmosphere that you decide that you're going to commit to, if you can't be flexible, it's probably not going to work.
But what I'm also hearing from you is that there are certain things that must be done, and if it turns out that doing part of that is a challenge for someone, then you have that flexibility to say, okay, it needs to be done, and let's go about this a different way, and you just do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. What he's talking about specifically.
there must be a story there, yes?
Well, we just had this conversation earlier today. There's an outline, which normally I'm like really good at outlines, but there's this one outline that I was supposed to make like 3 weeks ago, and I keep telling him, yeah, I know I'm supposed to make that outline, but I haven't done it yet. And it keeps coming up because like we need it done, because we keep talking about the stuff that we need to do with the outline when it's done. So finally today I was like, yeah, I still haven't done it. He's like, okay, I'll just do it. I'm like, oh, that sounds great.
Wow. Role reversal today. Eh?
Yeah, but and that's the thing. It really we don't. Yeah, I mean, I guess as far as like making an outline for sure, but I think that's the key. Like, and there's not like I'm not like resentful that he keeps asking me because it's something I was supposed to do, and nor is he like angry per se that I haven't done it. He's just like, okay, I'm just gonna do it. You know what I mean? Because it has to get done. Right. So I think a lot of people would probably struggle in that way, because it would be more about, well, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And when you do that, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it can't be about that. It has to be like the partnership, the business, the desire to get to our dreams. it has to supersede that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, listen, I can't care about, like, if I don't do something, like, be real with yourself. Like, if I don't do something that I said I was going to do, and Patricia comes to me and says, Bert, where is A, B, and C that you said, that I said that I was going to complete? Where are these? Then it's up to me to do one of multiple different things. But what I really is required of me is to communicate with Patricia in an effective way on whether or not I have completed those tasks. That's where relationships, partnerships, people communicating, that's where it breaks down. And this is why. The original person that said, I will do whatever it is, right? I will make a chocolate cake and I'll have it ready by dinner time. And then when you come home and there's no chocolate cake, and then you just say, hey, where's the chocolate cake?
Mm-hmm.
That's not an accusation. That's not, all you're doing is, right? You're not doing any like confrontation or anything. All you're doing is you're asking about something that was previously stated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've learned this. This is a painful lesson I've learned in communicating with a fiance, right? Because I say a lot of things. I talk. Right? I have to realize that when I say it out loud, then I have to actually literally follow it up. So, and it also I've learned it in working with someone, that you have to do that. So then you have to be a real person. You have to grow up in some areas, like, and be emotional, like have some emotional intelligence and say, listen, we're not in 4th grade. If I said I'm going to do something and tomorrow Patricia comes to me and says, okay, Bert, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and you said you're going to have this to me by 8, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to communicate and say, hey, I don't have it completed. This is why. This is when I will have it completed, right? That's what's required. Now, I could go into, like, I can make up a story, I could, like, make excuses, like, there's all kinds of things that you could do, but how is that going to serve us? Right. How is that going to be productive? It's not. But if I can just be honest with Patricia and go, okay, listen, I'm stressed out because I'm about to get married. My 97-year-old grandma is, like, eating me out of house and home. I'm just making this up, right? Because
she's good one. I like that one.
Right? But just, I'm, you know, like, I needed to take 6 hours off, right? I said I was going to do this, and I was on mental overload, and I needed to take the night off, right? I didn't, like, I'm a grown man. I don't have to ask permission. So then the next day when she asked me for that, I can tell her that. Right? Like, and if you can get to the point where you can do that, makes it really simple. And on the other side of that coin, if you can get to the point where you can receive that from the person that you're working with, right? Because check this out, early on, like now, when we take time off, it's like, hey, I took 3 hours off, or I took 4 hours off, or I took a day, or whatever. When we were first starting out, there was times when we, like, fizzled out, or we, like, and like we would bail for like 2 or 3 days, and the other person was like on Facebook, like, where are you? Are you alive? Someone's calling. Where are you still playing this game? Right? Oh, now it's not like that anymore, you know.
Right.
No. So
that there are times, but
yes, there are times.
Always follow through.
Yeah, and there's times when you need to walk away, you know?
Right.
Everyone needs some downtime.
Right, absolutely. And you use the word emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. It seems to me that one of the things that I'm hearing from the two of you also is that you're on a very, very similar page in relation to that you're able to be mature with each other. You're able to be honest, and when things need to get done and you're not in a space for doing them, you can say that straight out and just move on and make sure it's done somehow.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to that a little bit, that goes back to that whole, like, respecting one another's, like, goals, you know? Because it's not, it's so funny when he's, are you still playing this game? Are you still here? Did you ever go? Because, you know, because, like, you know, when you first start working with someone, it's like having a workout buddy. You know, man, you're pumped at first, and you've got all this excitement, and like, woo! So, like, really, there's no question in the other person's mind whether you're totally going to meet them at the gym that day. But we all have those moments with your gym buddy where they neglect to show up and they don't bother to call.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, your whole trust level with that person is just out the window. You know, so it makes it so much easier to bail out next time because you're like, well, you totally bailed out on me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in what we're doing, we're just way past any games. Like, you know what I mean? We're just way committed to not only our own success, but we understand that our, you know, like Bert said earlier. I mean, if he decided to not play the game anymore, I would be very sad, but I would keep going. And I almost think that because it's like if you have that gym buddy who you know is like uber committed to getting in shape, and they're going to be there whether you show up or not, that kind of makes you show up.
Ah, yeah.
You know? Like if I was working with someone who would allow me to quit because they quit too, that kind of makes it okay to quit, doesn't it?
It does. So, yeah, so that's a really important area in which you are very similar. And that you're not going to quit no matter what. Yeah.
Oh, it's huge. It's huge.
Interesting.
Yeah, like nothing, because when you have that at it, okay, that it's all about what's in your mind.
Perspective.
Whatever your perspective is the reality that is, right? Like that is the truth. Like, check this out. If in Virginia, Patricia has a fear of something outside of her glass window there, right? Like, it's a real fear for her, right? If she hears the sound, well, check this out. I can't hear it here. It's totally not real to me, right? Unless I see it or I experience it, it's not real to me, right? But it's real to her. So if people are, if people have that little bit of doubt, right? If they're not like all in, like 100%, like I'm not gonna quit no matter what, then they're just like letting that come in. Where we don't have that between us. We know, like, listen, there's nothing is stopping me. That's it. And when I have that, when you have that, it doesn't matter me, when Patricia has it, when you get it, Laurie, when Nancy gets it, when someone has that type of determination, then nothing can stop you. I mean, I was asking Jessica, my fiance, this, and I think that everyone has this, right? I believe that this is how everyone is born, and I believe this because I believe that it's inside of me innately. And if it is inside of me, then it must be inside of you. And it's inside of you, it must be inside of the guy next to you and the lady next to you. And we must just all be born with it. But don't you at some level, and if you don't, then tell me, right? Like, call me. I'm not even kidding. If you're watching this video, find out whoever you found this video from, get my telephone number and call me. Because it's sad that if you don't feel this. But don't when you're every day, when you have like all this crap going on in your life, right? And you hear all this noise, you got a lot of messages. I get that. Every day you got this noise, but have you had this? Have you been sitting on your couch or sitting at your desk or sitting or laying or doing something somewhere and known that you have like a real purpose? A real purpose. A purpose, like a significant reason to be on the planet. That doesn't have to do with like sitting in a cube or like getting a report to someone or like making a certain dollar amount or getting to a certain status level. Like, don't you feel like you're special? Like there's a special reason? Because I do. Right? And so because I feel like that, there's nothing's going to stop me from keep going forward. Nothing. Right? And so when you partner up or when you start working with people that have that same belief, then it's like on fire. And it does fizzle and does get sidetracked and it does, it takes it's just like anything else. It takes time and repetition, right? And with time and repetition and focus, that energy can be harnessed and used to go out and literally change the world. It can change people's lives. And imagine when you get two people, because when you asked, you said something about what about like how many, earlier there's a question about like, how many skill sets? Like, check this out. We're looking for more. Right? We're looking. Right. If you're watching this, we're looking for you. If you felt tingly when I was talking about if you feel special, if you feel like you're supposed to be with those people, check it out. I know what that feeling's like, and I'm telling you, we're looking for more people like that. Why? Because there's never enough skill sets. There's never enough people, right, that can join a team or a group of other people that want to succeed. That whole idea would be ludicrous. Like, well, Patricia, I guess we're good. Like, I do video, you do Facebook. That's all we need. We're good. We don't need any help. You know what? We're awesome, right? Yeah. Of course, we're always like, I'm always wanting to meet new people. Like, that's the whole reason why I go out and meet new people. I want to meet new people. Not only do I want to see what I can bring, but of course, part of that is what else can I learn? What can they bring? When I bring something to the table and I meet new people, what are these new people going to bring? What are we going to learn from them? We don't even know what kind of new worlds they're going to open us up to. Right? That's the exciting part.
I think, though, I'll expand upon that quickly. I mean, I think having that attitude from the start, like Bert and I would tell you that neither him nor myself were set out on our journey to find like someone we would consider a business partner. But it happened that way because our visions, they may not be the same, like exactly, obviously. We are very similar in a lot of ways. We get along very well, obviously. But it's that excitement and passion for like where we're going, our own visions, that energy is incredible when you partner it. And that's how come the two of us push each other to the next level, because I don't want him to get there before me, but it wouldn't happen because we're pushing each other at the same time to get there together. And that is really cool because I think that, like he said earlier, it was, we were both here, it wasn't really like this. In my mind, I think in some ways he asked that question, well, what was I thinking? It was funny because when we first started working together, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get my stuff done because I know Bert, he's doing all this and blah, blah, blah. Like, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough. And like, he used to say that too. He was like, well, I had to get all this stuff done because I didn't think I was doing enough because you were doing all this, because I didn't understand how to do what he was doing. He didn't understand how to do what I was doing. So once you have a skill set or once you know how to do something, you don't value it, right, all that much because you're like, oh, it's just a thing I do,
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how everyone else sees what they do too. And what's cool about that is that everyone feels that way. So I guess the point of that is that every single person has something exceedingly valuable to offer to other people, whether you see it in yourself or not. And I think what we have come to the conclusion of is it's our job now. Our job. We figured out. We've done figured it out. Our job
figured it out.
Them see it. That's our job, is to help people see that within themselves and to treat them not as someone on our team or someone who's like, well, you're not as cool as me because you don't know all this stuff I know, and like, I don't like to posture with people. I don't like to do all that stuff. It's just bottom line is if you want to learn it, if you're willing to work, if you're willing to listen to the training that I've already done, because I've already figured this stuff out, I might not sit on the phone with you for 10 hours and like have this revelation of conversation that Bert and I had when we first got started, because we had to work through that, but hey, guess what? All this training's over here, so you can listen to it, and I hope you get a lot out of it, because I know we did, kind of thing. I feel like we're laying that foundation for people, so maybe if they don't find their own business partner per se, they can still tap into the energy that we're creating You know,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you want
Ooh,
to.
I like that. That's really good. So you both said earlier that you are leaders, and you know that you are leaders. And what you're talking about right now, it sounds like that's it's almost as though your partnership is more about discovering what that means and fleshing it out and creating means to do that in relation to people.
Yes.
More even than building a business. Is that right?
Well, yeah, absolutely. No, I think you hit it right on the head, and Bert will tell you too that most of our conversations, when we were really getting when we were getting excited and you know, all little, you know, hairs on your arm were standing up, and we were getting so psyched, it was about what we were going to build and what we were going to give to other people. Like the stuff that we were figuring out, we were like, oh my gosh, that's amazing, you know, and we were like, I can't wait to tell everybody, you know, and it was that kind of stuff, you know, that we got super pumped about, and it was fun, and you know, it was just a lot of fun to kind of connect, just him and I. But the cool thing about that is we were both passionate about then turning around and like sharing that. So we would talk about, well, when we have a team, this is what we're going to do for them, you know, and we'd be like, yes, you know, that's going to be fun. And so, like, now we're talking about in February, like, all right, well, we go to Dallas in February. We're going to be diamonds, and we're going to have an event for our team, and we're going to take them all out, and we're going to have all this fun, and like, you know, and like that's the kind of stuff that we get really excited about now, you know. But it's cool though, because again, that's part of that. It's like part of that vision building, but it's kind of like, it's nothing that like you sit around and go, well, what are our goals going to be? Like, it's not like that.
Don't do that.
We do what we get excited about, you know? And we're glad that, you know, the both of us are excited about the same things, which is why it works.
So any advice to people other than just listen to this and really absorb how extraordinary these two people are? Any advice for people who are, I think at one point, in another conversation, I asked, you know, why become part of a partnership? And Bert answered something along the lines of, why not?
Yeah, I mean, really, the reason why we did is, I think we probably had this conversation. This is the deal. Like, Patricia and I have probably talked for, for like hours, like weeks, right, of time. Like, the amount of time that we've, like, and so, like, listen, these conversations are so various, right? They're so, like, multi-dimensional that, like, imagine not knowing anything, or imagine knowing, you know, imagine, like, if you knew, like, addition and subtraction, and you were having conversations about addition and subtraction, and then now you're having conversations about addition and subtraction and multiplication and division, and then now you're talking about geometry and trigonometry and calculus, right? And you're talking about, now you're not only talking about calculus, but you're talking about calculus and how it relates to the socioeconomic patterns that are happening in Europe. And also, you're talking about how those socioeconomic patterns in Europe relate to the fashion trends in Japan. Now, those are just random subjects. We didn't talk about any of that kind of nonsense, because those are just words that I made up. But the idea is
God we didn't talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
We had conversations about multiple different things, like multiple different facets of our business and different aspects, and how we could apply the different. This is what we talk about. We talk about how we can apply what we have learned. And then I tell Patricia, well, this is how I want to apply it. And then Patricia's like, oh, okay. Well, I was thinking more along this lines. And she has like an outline, right? That's a joke. That's a rehash. If you're just coming into the video, that's a rehash. So then based off of that, right? Based off of that, that's usually how it goes. Or Patricia comes to me and goes, hey, this is my idea. And she'll list it out for me, and I'll hear the list, and then I'll put that into my picture, and I'll be like, okay, this is how I see that, right? Like, I'll spit it back at her. Same thing she does. Like, I'll spit out an idea, and then she'll take the idea, and literally outline it and go, okay, this is what I heard, right? And that's how our ideas go together. Like literally, that's how we form the idea together. Because somewhere in that process, when we're going back and forth, it mushes out into one cohesive idea, right? And there is no like, oh, that sounds like it was a little weighted towards your plan on that one, right? It just always works out. And then when it doesn't work out, like when it comes out and it doesn't work, we're like, okay, that didn't work. We should make an adjustment. Or don't do that again. That doesn't work, right? So the advice I have is this, and this is what I said last time you asked me this, like there's the only reason to not do a partnership is there is no reason. Because you have to ask yourself the question of what's so awesome about you that you wouldn't need a partner. Right? Like that's what I said last time, because really think about that. And then we took it a step earlier. I was talking to Jessica and I was talking about this conversation. We were talking about saying, well, then Patricia and I had this conversation last week, or maybe a week and a half ago. I don't know. I'm not very good with time. But we had this same conversation. Like we don't talk to like the people that we work with as a downline, right? We don't have a downline. We have people that we're in business with. Like, check this out. When I said we're looking for other people, like, that's what we're doing. When we're out looking for other people to join with us, we're not like, yeah, so I was wondering if you wanted to join my downline. I'm going to put you about 27 levels deep, and you're going to be under everyone. Right? That's not how I work. I'm like, hey, listen, do you want to be a part of a team? Do you want us to show you how we're building a home-based business? How you can partner with other people that are building a home-based business online? Right? That's the power. And the power of having a partner is you have someone to bounce ideas off of, right? You have someone to support you. You have someone to support your team. Right? Think of all the people that Patricia doesn't have to talk to, that she can send to me. Because just be real. If you're a human being and you're talking to other people, just be real for a moment and think about what I just said. Think about what I just said. Think of all the people that Patricia does not have to talk to that she gets to send to me. And guess what? There's a whole list of those people that I get to send to Patricia.
Yeah.
Right? And you know what I'm talking about, okay? If you're in the people industry, you know what I'm talking about. Some people, you know that one guy, when you talk to him, you're like, oh, man. Please. Yeah. Right? That guy, I send him to Patricia. She does the same thing to me, okay?
You know, that's one thing I learned when I was when I had my own clinic, massage clinic, is I figured out at some point that there were certain people that would walk through the door that were right. You know, and it was almost like a spidey sense, you know, it was like a little tingle when I would know this is a person who's going to be with me for a long time and it's going to be great. And then there were others that was like, I'm not the right person for you. And I would send them to someone else, not because I didn't want to deal with them, but because I wasn't the right person for them. And that was it was actually really liberating when I came to that realization that, you know, I don't have to be everything to everyone. I just have to be me.
That's right.
And I will be the right person for certain people, and we'll know it. As soon as we meet, we'll know it. It'll just be just obvious.
Well, and that's cool. I love how you said that because, you know, it is liberating. And I think that I don't feel like I can't help people because if I can't, there is literally someone on my team somewhere who can. And you know what's so exciting about that? Yeah, it's not just them that they're going to help. It's the other person on the team that's also going to benefit from that.
Right.
And that's what's so cool, you know, about working in a team environment where everyone is, again, when you take that ego out and we're no longer competing, we're honestly helping each other move forward in this thing that we're doing. And we're all collectively tapping into that energy and moving forward with it. So if you know, person 10, you know, is having a bad day, guess what? 1 through 9 and 11 through 22 is picking them up. And it really is an energy thing, So yeah, I mean, I think we've seen how important that is just amongst just our business, just the two of us. So that's
Is that something that you have learned as you've gone along in this? Is this like a side benefit from having a partnership, or did you come into it with that intact? Or
no, for me, I think I learned it.
With what?
That sense of the ego being something that you really need to set aside for teamwork.
No, I mean, as a business owner and I have a lot of employees, for me, it's more hard. Like, I already feel like I'm in charge because I am. You know what I mean? So for me, it's when you work with a team, it's all volunteers. Okay, so you need to learn how to motivate people they need to want to do it, and I don't think you can make people do stuff. You have to make them want to. I don't even say make them want. I think you just have to show them by example that this is what I'm doing, and I'm not gonna stop. And I am happy, very happy to have you on the journey with me if you so choose to be. And I think that's it in a nutshell. And I think that all teams work in that way. And for me, I don't know, but maybe Bert's a little different. But for me, coming from an employer situation to doing what we're doing now online, I just think that I see that in everyone, and so that's something that I don't feel like I have a big ego. I don't feel like I have to have my horn tooted or whatever you want to call it, all the time. But yeah, I mean, I want recognition for things that I accomplished to a certain extent. But I am very willing and excited to share the limelight with other people that are on my team because I care about them, because I want them to have that as much as I want it for myself. So I think when you get to that place, then it's okay. Then that's a good thing.
I think it's definitely a side effect or a side benefit. Because coming into online marketing, I worked for a big volume. I was an assistant to a doctor, and I worked in an office where, I was the guy. I was the man. You know what I mean? I did a good bulk of, I was the assistant to the doctor. So, I did all the work, and the doctor, smiled and kissed babies, right? So I came into it, and, literally, I've come into it as an overachiever with a huge ego, right? So I didn't realize, and I came into it as no one, right? Because I came into a market online where there's people that have been doing it for a long time, and I was no one. So I came into it, and I was like, wow, this is harder than I thought. I thought I was a pretty smart guy. I was like, I could probably figure this out, and I was like, oh, this is a little harder than I thought. This is a little trickier than I thought. And I'll tell you, you get a little bit of success, and it's easy to let your ego get out of control. But by default, if you work on a team, if you actually work as a team, by default, the ego has to get taken out. It gets taken out of the equation if you're truly working for the betterment of the team. Then personal ego, it's like a rule, it's like a law or something, like a law of physics or a law of gravity or something. If you work as a team, personal egos, literally you have to get taken out of the equation. Otherwise it can't work as a team.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's true. So that's something that you have. I like the term that you use, Bert, the side benefit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. Don't get me wrong. There's challenges to what Patricia and I are attempting to do. Where if it was just one of us, we wouldn't have that same challenge. Imagine this: Patricia and I work as a cohesive unit, okay? But in the hierarchy of how our company works, because we are in a multi-level marketing company, I'm on Patricia's team. Okay? So imagine if Imagine this. Imagine if there's a week where I out-recruit Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine as the leader, it's different, or it's different for her as a leader than it is for me as the person that's being led.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, imagine this. Imagine that there's then a week where Patricia out-recruits me, and I'm the one that's now in the group, let's say. I'm the one that's like the loud mouthpiece guy, right? Now she's out-recruiting me, so now she's getting the attention. But don't you understand? In my world, I need all the attention.
Right.
Right? So
right.
You see how that... So the whole thing is a learning... It's a learning experience as a person. That's like going back to that emotional intelligence. It's a learning experience. There's conversations that Patricia and I have had with each other about like, hey, what are we going to do as we move forward? How are we going to move people in our organization so that we have equal recognition? Because we both require not only the recognition of our peers, because that's important, but we also require the recognition, like, for the self-confidence, for the boost that it gives you intrinsically, right? Like, hey, check this out. I don't want to be the second place loser, okay? And I don't know what anyone else wants to be, but I want to win. Like, when I go run in a race, I'm not racing to get last place. If I'm not racing, then that's just called running. Then I can just run around wherever I want. If I'm racing, then I'm competing, and in that case, I would like to win. And the reason I like to win is because it makes me feel good, right? So there's that part of it, that competition part. There's definitely a part of that has to be learned. Because there's still times where even though I'm working with Patricia, like, we still, like, get competitive, you know? It's just, it's human nature. You can't help it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That pushes us, so that's okay.
So, Nancy? Nancy?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any questions that you have been holding back while we're rolling along?
Yeah, well, when we had talked before, I had said, what's the one piece of advice you would offer? But, yeah, just in parting, I mean, you've said so many great things. Is there just one nugget that you want to throw in because it's important to you and it's been important to how your partnership has worked?
I don't know. That's I think for me, it's acceptance of other people where they're at, and I think that not just Bert really, but everybody on our team. And it's not about, one thing that I've just learned working with people, especially in a team environment the way that we are, is not to put your expectations on other people. And that's pretty huge, because if I expect certain things in my own mind that I haven't discussed with him and then he doesn't do, and then I want to get frustrated or upset about it, that's not fair, So we all do that. I look to people on the team where I'm like, oh, well, if they did this and this would be awesome, and maybe if they were on Facebook, and what if they plug into this, and you know what I mean? Like, when you're working in the team environment where certain activities are really necessary for success. I mean, I can tell people all I want and show them everything that I'm doing, but it's, you know what I mean? Like, you have to accept people where they're at and love on them and be glad for the time that they're committing and be ready to support them when they're ready to commit. And I think across the board, if you can do that, then that frees you to go do what you need to do. Because otherwise putting your expectations on them and then getting your own emotional junk mixed up with that will hinder your own personal growth. And so for me, probably that's it. Like, I mean, now if something, but the two of us, if I commit to something, I'll say, and make sure you yell at me if I don't do this, because that's what I need, from an accountability partner. so that we take our business to the next level. But now, if I have someone on my team who doesn't ask that of me, it's not, I can't call them up and say, hey, you didn't say blah, blah, blah. You said you were gonna, but you didn't. You know, I'm not their parent. I'm just here to help in the ways that I can as my role, in the role that they allow me to play. You know, and that fluctuates. So, and that's okay. You know, people are people. Life happens. You know, it's okay. And I think the acceptance of that, of both of those things, I think is really important in dealing with partnerships and in the team atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. That's really good advice. Bert?
I first have... See, I told you my answer would be different, Nancy, if you asked me on a different day. I would say this. I would say that the most important thing in your entire life is developing yourself. Mm. Because quite honestly, you're probably not the best you that you could be. And if you are, then that's amazing. Like, just keep going and just keep rocking it. You know what I mean? Like, really, if you're the best you that you could be, then, man, just keep on shining your light and be bright. But, you know, personal development is all of it, right? If you have personal development, all the rest of everything, it all falls into suit. Like, that's it. Like, it all falls into suit. Okay, so this is it. If you want your life to change, then you have to change your life. That's it. Like, your life is just not going to, like, spontaneously change unless you go and change your life. Change it. You have the power. Every single one of us has the power to change our life. How? Take an action that's different tomorrow than you did today. That's it, right there. If you have this ideal, this is where you want to get. This is, like, if this is whatever, let's just pretend this is, I'm trying to think of something that's national. McDonald's, right? I'm using this is a loose analogy. Let's pretend that everyone wants to walk to McDonald's. I'm not sure why everyone would want to do that, okay? I'm adamantly against this restaurant. I'm just using this for an analogy. It's a place that everyone in the world probably knows. Let's say that you want to walk to McDonald's, okay? But let's say that you don't walk, and the McDonald's is 26 miles from your house, okay? Well, listen, you have to start taking actions today, right now, if you want to make it to this McDonald's. So that means you have to start taking actions every day. They're going to get you closer and closer and closer to that McDonald's. Because that doesn't mean that tomorrow morning you're going to wake up and you're going to be able to walk to the McDonald's. But every day you take actions. I wish I could think of the words that I'm trying to think of, because there's a guy named Garrett McGrath who's an amazing leader that I work with, and he talks about, you know what I'm talking about, Patricia? Having your intention. You have to,
closing the gap between your intentions and your actions is the key to your success.
Right? Mm. So your actions start closing in on your intentions. My actions, right? That's why if you want your life to change, you have to change your life, right? The lottery guy's not coming to your house tomorrow, okay? The radio guy, right? The DJ on the radio is the K105.9 is not calling like K1059, your business FM tomorrow morning. That guy is not making a shout out on the radio for your business, okay? Tomorrow night on Channel 4 or Channel 27 or 283, if you're paying $200 a month for cable or some craziness, right? If you have like the satellite 12,000 package and you're paying like $200 a month to you, that's awesome. I'm sure those marketers are happy. Whatever channel it is, they're not playing a commercial for your business tomorrow, okay? That's the reality. You have to go out and change your life. You have to go build your business. And the cool part is this. This is the best part of the whole gig. If you've never done it before, if you have no idea what's going on, that's all good. This space is wide open. And there's all kinds of people like me, Patricia, Laurie, Nancy. We're just normal people that were like, hey, guess what? I'm not going to work anymore. Well, Nancy and Laurie and, well, Patricia doesn't anymore, but I don't know if Nancy and Laurie do, but that's what I did. Right?
So
I just quit, right? Like, I just quit, guys. And this is the deal. Some of us are full-time, some of us are part-time, right? It doesn't matter what level you're at. There's people online, offline, there's people all around that want to show other people how to succeed. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. This is the best piece of advice. Patricia, I know she cringes when I say this, because this is just not, these are just not the words that she would use. She just uses different words to say the same thing, but this is my main deal. You have to go out there and do this all with love, but this is the gig. You have to go and be of service. That's it.
I don't cringe when you say that.
No, but you don't use that word. Like, you wouldn't, like, Patricia wasn't going to call someone and be like, so how can I be of service to you? Right? That's just not something she would say. That's something I would call and say to someone. Hey, what's up? This is Bert. I'm from Colorado. How can I be of service? Why? Because that is just implanted. I have to ingrain it. I don't care if 58 people think I'm crazy. Like, who's this guy? Be of service guy. I want it implanted into my head that my only mission on the planet's surface is to be of service to other people. And if I can do that, I'm telling you, everything else out here around me will become more amazing every day. Right? Why? I don't know why. That's just how it works. I don't challenge why. I just know it works.
Wow. Well, I think that's a stopping point right there, because I think that's something that I have to absorb, and that moved my heart really deeply. And I hope that anybody seeing this video will just take what both Bert and Patricia have said in, and I think they're really incredible people, and I'm very honored to have had this conversation, and I'm really excited to share it with people who need to hear it and who are hungry to hear it. So I will have information about how to get in contact with Bert, get in contact with Patricia, with Nancy, with me, Laurie, Owen, below this video, and feel free to contact any of us. We're here to, as Bert would say, be of service. And thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, guys. It's been great. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Good night.
Good night.